It's Not Another Buffalo Podcast, hosted by three of the most underqualified sports personalities this side of the canal. With John.
There's no way in hell that I can leave that in, right?
You don't think so?
Well, to quote Rage Against the Machine, what better place than here? And, what better time than now?
And Brando.
We have this trust built on, whatever it is, like Bibles and gold bricks and whatever Brandon Bean's drinking over there.
All right, welcome back to Not Another Buffalo Podcast. I'm John. That's Brando. You can find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcast. This podcast, as always, is brought to you by our friends at Small City Realty. If you're looking to buy, sell, or manage property in Western New York, call 585-409-1088. That's 585-409-1088. Zach will get you all set up. He's the best realtor in Western New York.
Sure is.
And by the Jkorz Agency for all your Western New York insurance needs. So, Brando, training camp approaching. I don't know what day rookies report. Is that end of this week or next week? Is it that soon?
It is soon because the whole thing with the second round pick controversy, right? These guys are going to show up, and is he going to come? With only 30 of the 32 second round picks, they don't have contracts. Only two of the, I should have said that better. Yeah. Only two second round picks have contracts right now. So that we'll find out more about that this week. It's an interesting thing to take a stand on, the $10 million contract for a second round pick total over 4 years.
Right. I was going to say, people who understand the situation better than me, I think have talked about this. I think the first people who got signed got more guarantees than is normally typical for a rookie contract. And so that's holding everyone else up because everyone else is like, well, if they get that, then I should get that. Yeah. Right. So
to be fair, Keon Coleman,
we'll see how that shakes out.
I think he got like 85% of his deal guaranteed last year, but he was a high second round pick.
Very high second round pick. Yeah. So we'll see how that shakes out. But anyway, quick topic for you guys today. I thought this was interesting. I was listening to Jeremy and Joe, the morning show this morning.
Always a good listen.
Always love those guys. Some of my favorite to listen to. And I really love the way that Jeremy frames stuff and looks at stuff. And this time I was like, I actually, something that he says quite often, I kind of did a double take and I thought about it for a little bit. And I was like, I want to dive a little bit more into that. And mathematically, sorry, don't turn off the podcast, guys. What that means. It's still interesting, I promise. But anyway, they were talking about how the Bills defense of last year was really good at forcing turnovers. They were number one in the league for percentage of drives that ended in a turnover. And they were like second to last in punts forced as a function of percentage of drives that end in punts. So really stark differences there. And I feel like those two things actually correlate a little bit. Obviously, they're good at turnovers, bad at punts. But those two things feed into each other a little bit because on the drives that you're taking the ball away, you're not forcing a punt, right? Yeah. And then on the drives that are long and get into your red zone, which was most of the drives, I think the Bills let up. They were like very high in the league as far as teams who let opponents into their own end, into their own red zone often.
31st so when you get in punts forced, right? Just constantly bleeding.
Right. But when you're that bad and you're like bend, don't break, you're also getting more plays on the field and more opportunities for turnovers.
Yes.
Also, which kind of pushes you up on the turnover leaderboard a little bit too. So those two things kind of feed into each other. Historically, the Bills have actually, under Sean McDermott, been very good at taking the ball away. I think they've ranked first, like second, fifth, and seventh over the last few years. And
I think
top
they've
eight,
never been lower than eighth. Yeah.
As a function of percentage of drives, not total turnovers necessarily, but as a function of percentage of drives, which is important, I think, to note. But Joe Marino pointed that out when he was on the show earlier last week, that the Bills don't regress in takeaways. And so obviously getting stops is important. We know that this Bills defense did not get enough stops last year. And Jeremy always says punts are turnovers, right? You're giving the ball back to the other team. Same thing as an interception or a fumble. And I want to push back on that just a little bit because I do think punts are turnovers, but it's not a 1-for-1. It's kind of like saying subs are sandwiches, right? It's like, yes, you're correct, but they're way better. So I wanted to look at it as a function of EPA per play, turnovers versus punts, right? Obviously, the obvious answer here that you'd figure out is, of course, turnovers are better than punts because usually you're going to get better field position after a turnover than you would a punt where you're flipping the field, right?
Unless you got Brian Moorman punting for you.
Exactly. All right, so this is from Ben Baldwin. The average EPA loss of a turnover is 3 to 3.5 expected points added, right? So your EPA drops by 3 to 3.5 points when you turn the ball over. Average EPA loss of an offense punting is 1.2 to 1.5 EPA. Stark difference there. So using EPA, a turnover is worth 2.5 punts. Right? So one turnover is as good as 2.5 punts. Now, I get it, right? That's because of the flipped field position, right? So obviously, like, I wanted to take that out and examine it without that variable, which again is like you want to leave that variable in because that's important because you do get the field position. That's why a turnover is better than a punt, right? But I wanted to look at, I want to say momentum. If I can dare to use that word.
Is that a measurable statistical data point there, John?
We'll get to that.
I'm also curious because not all turnovers would be created equal either. When you have the arm punt, Josh Allen's famous for down the field 40 yards on a 3rd and 12, or I think of Boyer punching the ball out at the goal line last year against the Chiefs. You're getting the ball, but you stop the other team from scoring. So that might be a higher EPA swing. So it's interesting though. Keep going. Yeah.
So anyway, if you removed the field position advantage, right, which is kind of what you're talking about, there's great field position from turnovers. You can turn the ball over at the 2-yard line, or there's terrible field position, right, where it's like that's an arm punt that might as well be as good as a punt. So if you took the field position out of it, turnovers should be just as good as punts, right? Like that's because you're just turning the ball over. Other team gets the ball. Take the field position advantage out of it. Punts are turnovers, right? Wrong. If you take the field position out of it, which some people have before, one turnover is worth 1.3 punts. So it's closer. It's a lot closer. Yeah. But so that translates to 3 punts being worth about 2 turnovers. Does that make sense?
I'm following. Yes.
Without field position advantage, turnovers are better than punts for defense. So that led me to the question, like, does this imply the existence of momentum? Because you're taking the field position out of it. And as far as EPA goes, turnovers are still better than punts. To me, yes. Still kind of subjective there. So let's get into that. So does an offense coming out after a defense gets a interception or a fumble have more juice? Do they tend to score more points than an offense coming onto the field from a punt? The answer is yes. Studies from Brian Burke and PFF show that the offenses gaining possession after a turnover do perform better on the next drive, even if it's incremental. 0.2 to 0.4 EPA, even after adjusting for starting field position. So even while taking the biggest advantage of turnovers out of it, the momentum shift of turnovers makes them better than punts.
I'm curious.
Just that isolating that variable by itself.
Because if you do get a turnover and you're not in your own end, are you more apt to go for it on 4th down and be successful? So the drive can extend. If Dan Campbell gets a turnover at his own 40 and, you get to the 48, he's going to go for it, right? You're going to extend the drive because he gets the favorable field position off that turnover. It's not like, if you get a turnover I think what really makes me think of this is the Vikings game against the Bills. And, we stopped them on 4th and goal. And then Allen fumbles on the goal line, right? So that would be interesting. And then Allen throws a pick to end the game in overtime. I missed that. As one of 2 Bills home games I missed in 10 years because I was sick. I missed that game. But anyways, the coaching throughout the league, the way the coaching has changed in the last 5 or 6 years is kind of interesting with this as well. Because if you get a stop on 4th down, it's kind of like a punt, right? Or a turnover. What do you call that? Or what is that?
Turnover on downs.
Turnover on downs, right? It's not right. It's not a punt or anything.
So that's not the fumble or interception that goes into this equation, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that it's not included. Turnover on downs is not included in these equations. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting because I think momentum is real. Football is an X's and O's, a data-driven game, of course, but it's played by humans out there.
Don't forget the Jimmy and Joes.
With, emotions and stuff like that. And your team, after turning the ball over, feels a little bit defeated. And the team that just got the ball back gets a spark.
Well,
it's measurable. It's literally measurable in historical EPA.
That's cool.
Based on previous outcomes, which is interesting. So
I think if you ever played any level of football and you're on defense and your quarterback throws a pick on second down after you just got off the field, you want to throw your helmet at the guy, right? Like, I'm so tired. But then if your defense gets a pick and your offense gets to go back out on the field, they're hyped up, right? They are. That adrenaline rush is statistically real, according to those.
Right. And your play caller is probably more likely to be aggressive because he's hyped up too.
He's found money, right?
Yeah. So
cool.
All that stuff. But all that to say, this doesn't excuse the Bills defense because they get turnovers and not punts. Like, they're still, with being the best in turnovers and the worst in punts, they're still a middling defense. So that's why they had to overhaul everything. Yeah. So the hope is, the best Sean McDermott defenses have turned the ball over successfully, but have also gotten stops for punts.
Yeah.
And so this year, the Bills, the biggest thing they need to do is get off the field on third down, which they were terrible at this past year.
It was very difficult to watch at times.
Yeah.
I mean, even
especially third and long, like 3rd and 11 was like you're covering your eyes and looking away.
I would even say there were shades of this 2 years ago. Sometime. I mean, it's not just shades. It's like that you're getting covered in paint against the Chiefs because you don't get them off the field. Literally, none of this matters to me if you can't get Kansas City off the field in the playoffs. All right, you can't. Yeah. You got to get them off the field. And how come other teams can do it? Why can everybody else do it except for Sean McDermott? I don't. Well, that pisses me off.
Not everyone else can do it.
Most people can get him off the field more than 3 times in 4 games. I
know, but remember that it's actually a smaller number of teams than you think, because if you think about all the Super Bowls they've been to, that's at least 2 AFC teams that have failed to along the way, and a couple of teams that failed to do it in the Super Bowl. We've seen the formula, right? The formula is have a dominant defensive line against Kansas City's offensive line was pretty middling last year. So
yeah, it drives me crazy. I don't understand. It's just, and you talk about EPA or you talk about coaching decisions, all of these numbers just indicate to me how big of a mismatch Andy Reid versus Sean McDermott is. And it drives me absolutely up a wall. And maybe it was Tyler Dunn. He was on WGR talking the other day about play callers on offense and the system that the quarterback runs. Peyton Manning ran Peyton Manning's system, right? It was the same in Indy, it was the same in Denver. He's the guy, right? He learns what he wants. Tom Brady was kind of in the Brady system, right? And the McDaniels was there, and whoever kind of in and out when McDaniels flirting with being a head coach and getting rejected as being a head coach. But Brady ran his thing. Maybe in Tampa it was a little different because you had Bruce Arians, who was another great offensive mind. But we don't really, like, Josh Allen's offense has been different. Maybe there's 3 or 4 iterations of it over his 8 years in the league. And I would kind of like it to rather be more like, if last year is the version of Josh Allen's offense that will stick with him through the rest of his career, would you be happy with that?
I don't know, but you're right. Like, his offense kind of adjusts more to the personnel that they have around him.
Yes.
Which I feel fine with the decisions that they've made. Like, if you're trying to run quote unquote Josh Allen's offense, all the Peyton Manning offense, the Tom Brady offense, some of those, when it was available, had a really good running game, right? Yeah. Which we kind of think of as a staple to those offenses. And obviously that was a huge staple for the Bills last year. But, if you don't have the wide receivers to go and do everything, it's like a lot of Peyton Manning's offense and Tom Brady's was dictated around Wes Welker's skill set in a lot of those times too. So it's like, I don't know. It's not like the system. I mean, the system is probably the same basis, but it's like the play calling and the way that you're setting things up is variant over the couple of years. But
the part that bothers me,
there's been more variance over the years of Josh Allen's offense, right? Probably than there was among Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Maybe.
And this is, I'm not criticizing. It's my observation and my opinion. And you don't have to agree with it. That's totally fine, because the stats say the Bills scored the most points they ever did per game last year than they ever had before.
Sure. The question is, can they do it again?
And turnovers, like you said, do not regress under Sean McDermott. If there's anything about Sean McDermott, is he gets turnovers, except against the Chiefs. But
when
it matters, the thing that boggles my mind, and it always has boggled my mind, even when Brian Daboll left, is how could you not watch Josh Allen in 2020 throw for 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns and rush for 7 more and say, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want that anymore. It's, this isn't Josh's offense. This is everybody eats. We're going to run the ball. We're going to get 2 tight ends out here. We're going to run on first and second down, and then we're going to have Josh scramble and throw a hero ball and get the first down and do that 8 times a game, and that's how we're going to win. It just
there's so many layers of nuance to it too, I feel like, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
that's okay.
I want to say this before I forget it, because it's like there's 2 different things that I want to think about with that. It's like if you had 2020 Josh, just imagine you have a full career of 2020 Joshes. Is that career shorter than 2024 Joshes?
I don't know. Josh even if they don't run him to start the season, he still finds a way to get his carries. He's not.
I'm thinking more so like number of dropbacks, right? Because again, that's probably a bigger stat that correlates to potential for injury rate. I mean, he's not a pocket injured passer, and it's probably the running probably weighs on him the most as far as like long-term longevity and stuff like that, right? But I don't know. I don't know if that answer is definitive, like 2024 Josh is more sustainable long-term because he doesn't drop back as much. I don't know if the answer to that is yes. I would think so. And then the other thing that I was going to say about that too is like, I think the way that the league played defense in 2020 was different also. So even if you wanted to go back and have 2020 Josh Allen and run that offense, that was an offense that was built for the defenses that everyone was running then. That was before the 2 high shell got really, really popular in 2021 and afterwards. So yeah, when you say 2020, I think you mean 2021 Josh Allen, like the year of 13 seconds, right?
Yeah. And also, well, 2020 was his better statistical season than 2021. But
right, you're right.
The COVID stuff plays a part in that. To not have any crowd noise, you can do whatever you want at the line of scrimmage on offense or on defense. So that's interesting, because if you look throughout the league for that 1 year, people do have inflated stats as a quarterback. And
sure,
that's interesting. Also, a little study in itself that we witnessed as experimenters in this world that we were in during that time. But
right.
I would be curious if Allen and McDermott lose this game, lose a playoff game this year against the Chiefs. And
don't put that in the universe.
It's already in the universe, man. It's happened 4 freaking times.
You're right.
Bothers me. Which bothers me. I mean, what the next version, Josh Allen from 30 to 35, what does his offense look like? I mean, what do you can't keep slamming your head against the table. We're doing the same thing. It drives me so crazy. I've said it out here many, many, many times. You got a unicorn, you got a superstar. The dude can throw the ball a million miles. He's accurate. He can run. So let's run it on first and second down at a 60% clip.
Also, I think it's important to note that probably if you ask most people, the offense wasn't necessarily the problem.
No,
last year.
No, I don't know why I'm hating on it.
It could be, and that's what we're worried about. But well, if they keep scoring 30 points a game this year, like I think everyone will be happy.
Absolutely, and I think the only time it really. The part that gets annoying, and this kind of puts a little bit of stress on the defense, is when you're not averaging 4 yards a carry and you get these 3 and outs, and then your defense gets a little bit more stressed. And I feel like that might have happened a little bit more this year, even though the Bills were still scoring points and getting their turnovers. I mean, in the AFC Championship game, Bills had 2 3 and outs to start the game, and the Chiefs go down and score, right? We had to come from behind just to start the game. And it was like it looks so difficult. I mean, Josh looked nervous. That's okay.
Yeah.
For the first drive. Second drive, it was like run, completion, punt. And it's like, how does it look so easy for other teams when they have guys running wide open? And Joe Brady potentially leaving after this season, if he gets a head coaching job, if he puts up another season of 30 points per game, then there's another iteration of it. I just think at some point, Allen has to be the system. That's all.
Yeah.
That's my main point on this. And if Allen is like, if McDermott doesn't like that,
I don't know. I think there's a good debate to be had there that Allen already is the system too, like in a lot of ways.
Well, he could be.
It's like it looks different. It looks different, but like so much of that offense does run through him.
Yeah.
It's like we can argue about whether it's best suited for his skill set, right, or if they're just trying to run an average NFL offense with a superhuman at the helm. But yeah, I don't know.
I think I heard him.
It's a good debate.
I heard him say something. Maybe it was about at this Golf American Classic thing that he was just in. He did a bunch of interviews. He said he wanted to get better at the line of scrimmage next season. Like that's a goal for him. And I think that would be a really cool step because if he has the power to check in and check out of things, then the play call doesn't really matter. I mean, you have 3 or 4 of them in the headset at all. So if Allen can get better at that, and like you said, the too high shell, I mean, the Bills faced the most
single high. That was different this year because of their receiver skill set. So that's why this all goes back to the Brandon Beane wide receiver conversation. Like it all kind of goes back to that. And so it's like he put his chips on the table, and I hope they're better than they were last year, because last year, yes, despite 30 points per game, the receivers weren't good enough. Like, and you saw it in you saw it in the Chiefs game. You saw it in like the Houston game, which I get you can have one-off game per season, but
don't make it against the Chiefs in the
if it rears its ugly head again this year, like we're all going to be like, hey, we kind of brought this up. But anyway.
It's not even that. It's the way the game is played. You average 29.5 points a game and you got to 28. And you're 27. You're 1 point short, 1 play short, 1 stop short. And it cannot look that easy for Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City against this guy who, like you said, has been a top 8 defense in turnovers. I mean, Jeremy said it today. If they're 31st in the league in punts forced, but they're first in turnovers, it's like a 14th rated defense. So if you could be 20th or 18th, 17th, 16th in punts forced, and you're still 3rd, 4th, or 5th in turnovers. I mean, if you're 8th in turnovers, which is the lowest he's ever been, and you have a 15th rated punts, like that's the number 1 defense. So you just find a way to make it easier for your team to get off the field and give your superstar quarterback as many plays as possible to score.
Yeah. So we'll see how the pieces fit in on this defense. It's going to be a lot different than last year. I feel like, but I think it can only go up from where it was, because I feel like there's a floor with the Sean McDermott defense, right? Like there's a definite floor there.
Yeah. 8th.
And so,
sorry, that was loud.
No,
8th in turnovers and in what, like 13th overall is his lowest numbers,
something like that.
8 years.
So
it's pretty good.
But again, we do all this talking and it all comes down to one playoff game anyway. So we'll see you guys in January pretty much.
Yeah, right.
That's the whole thing. But
well,
all right. Is that all you got? Or
I do have a little Josh Allen golf update here, right?
All right.
So he's at the American Century Championship, is where the celebrities go. Joe Pavelski, former hockey player, won it. And they do a modified scoring. So it's like birdies, bogeys, they're all worth a certain amount of points. This article that I'm reading from SI.com, Bills Josh Allen can't find swing during rare bogey-filled Saturday in Lake Tahoe. So you tell me what you think about this. So he goes into the second round. The usually smooth swinging Allen posted 4 bogeys and 2 double bogeys. And Allen's quote was, "I lost my swing today. I can't find it. The boys are struggling." Allen said on hole 17. It's just so relatable. He had a bogey on the par 3 on a bad first shot. He teed off. He tied with Matthew Tkachuk, the NHL player. And this is the 4th summer in a row. He posted 10 over par 2 days in a row. So that's 82. He had back-to-backs 82s. And he's talking about how terrible he is at golf.
I'd take that score.
I think I would too. I've been in the 70s a couple of times this year, a couple times last year. My average on 18 birdies is like 84 on the dot even. And I'm like, dude says his game has gone to shit for 282s in a row. I'm like, oh man, it's just a regular Tuesday. Like, I don't know. But I guess when you're 6'7" and you can hit the ball a country mile,
yeah,
that's bad.
That'll do it. That sets the expectations a little bit higher, I feel like.
Yeah.
So
the other part about this golf tournament, which I thought was kind of interesting, Steph Curry was asked if he wants to play on the senior PGA tour. And he went on to talk about how there's current people in sports that are trying to set themselves up to do that. Like Tony Romo being one of them, Steph Curry. I think John Smoltz, the pitcher, former baseball player, is doing that right now. But to get on, if you don't have an exemption, and if you're on the PGA tour, it's real hard. You got to go through the same thing as if you're trying to get in the PGA. You got to go through the qualifiers. You got to make the cut and make the next cut, and the next cut, and the next cut, and you're 50. So
right.
But he said it would be a cool. Steph Curry wants to do it. He's like 13 years from now. It sounds crazy, but he's like a scratch right now. So
right,
it would be cool to see some of these guys, if this is the next iteration, we didn't really see this, right? Brady's not doing it. Manning's not doing it. Troy Aikman is just calling games. He's not doing it. That previous generation of guys. It would be cool to see these guys be multiple sports here as they age.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was always Kramer's dream, right?
Yeah. He's the best for golf. Tour. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a little frantic to pull off the swing.
Still like golf them.
Yeah. Hey, he did hit a whale blowhole from, probably 250 yards out.
Did you hear the story of how they got to use the word Titleist?
No, I don't remember.
So I was reading about this, and Jerry and Larry David, they were like, okay, he's hitting golf balls into the ocean. And it's like, we had the perfect line at the end. It's like, is it a Titleist? And they had to go to Titleist headquarters, and it's like they're recording, or they're doing the shoot at like 8 a.m, and they've had this conversation at like 10 o'clock the night before. So they had to like rush into the Titleist headquarters to try to get permission. Can we use this name in our show? And they were like, at the 11th hour, they said, yes. We ran right into the shooting of it. And George and Kramer, they figured out their lines. Like, is it a Titleist? It's a Titleist. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like George's whole monologue, I think was presented to him like 10 minutes before they filmed it.
Yes.
I want to say.
Yes.
Hit 10 minutes and he memorized it. So
nailed it. Great show.
Such a good show.
Yes.
All right. Well, this is going to do it for that episode. You guys know where to find us on all platforms at Not Buff Podcast. We'll be back next week. Again, I promise we're going to get Pat on one of these weeks. He's going to be joining us for some training camp episodes and stuff like that. Brando, if you're out at training camp, we might have to get some live reports from out there. We'll see how that goes.
I don't know how it's going to go this year yet. I don't know if I'm going to make it out there or not, but yeah.
All right. Well,
I'll watch what other
it's
people
getting
say.
Close. Bills football in 25 days, I want to say. First preseason game.
Preseason games, yeah.
Your favorite, right?
The least favorite part of the season. Yeah. I'm a hater.
All right.
Certified preseason hater.
That's just because you work at the games, though, right?
The whole thing, man. Injuries,
the whole thing.
Fantasy drafts.
Sure.
Watching the fourth stringers.
Sure. Yeah. I get it.
Go team, go.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Go Bills.
Go Bills.